is, and well, we've talked about that wonderful day in 1990. Well, the festivities here today, Mick, they're going to have reenactments. I think they try to get you out there having your 7 bounces, but you couldn't have bounced the ball in these wet conditions. But the Music Men start us off, and they're just underway out in the middle. Let's join the Music Men.
We say goodbye, goodbye. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. There's no other band so loyal and true. Love us or hate us, but pay us our due. 'Cause in the window rain, win or lose, we're still in the members. How about you? They took us away from Magpie Land, 'cause no one could beat us in front of our stand. But we don't care, we'll go anywhere and we'll say, we are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. There's Jock McHale, Coventry, Richards and Rose. From Thompson to Price to McKenna it goes. With Buckley and Shorey, Daicos and Darren Mullane. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye. We are the black and white army. We say goodbye, goodbye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Ladies and gentlemen,
And some of the legends coming onto the ground there, and even a shot of Barrassi, who, of course, in 1958, well, they fixed up Barrassi and stopped Melbourne, winning 4 flags in a row, which would equal Collingwood's record.
Yeah, and to see Bobby Rose out there, Frank Tuck, Daicos, Peter McKenna, magnificent.
Oh, look, we're going to have a lot of fun. I think even Gabbo is going to reenact that magnificent run, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Game day, and this is Ron Barrassi in the Melbourne strip against Barry Hooker Harrison, reliving a moment from 1958. They're moving beautifully too, Mick. Have a look at this.
Good to see Barrassi hasn't lost his ground level pickup, but what about here, Hooker Harrison? Great skills, lost his feet. Barrassi picks up that loose ball once again, but reliving some of the great times these two had, of course, played on each other way back in 1958.
Well, Melbourne had won in 55, 56 and 57. In 1958, they were going for 4 premierships in a row, which was going to equal Collingwood. Now, here's Gabbo, the famous run. How far did he go? People say it was 100 metres. How far was it? Oh, very ordinary Gabbo, but a great goal.
Yeah, magnificent goal. That'll go down in the history annals as one of the best. And here's the reenactment. Tuddenham kicking the ball forward into that pocket. There's the speed of Gabelic of today. And he's taken 1, 2, 3, kicks it over the goal line, arms go in the air. Jubilation on Ray Gabelic's face.
Now, that's about as far as he went. Now, here's the magnificent mark by Twiggy Dunne to draw the 1977 grand final against North Melbourne. Twiggy in a big pack. It was hard to call. You could hardly see him.
Yeah, but what pressure was in the marking contest. Peter Moore, of course. But this amazed me. I was a supporter of Collingwood. I was about 11 years of age. And I said to Dad at the time, I can't believe he's going. Dad, he's going to kick a torpedo. That's one thing you never used to do as a kid growing up. And here's a reenactment.
Can he do it again? Barras standing on the mark now in the North Melbourne jumper, and Twiggy's done it again. Well, what about the pressure? After Collingwood had been bottom the year before, they went from last to grand finalist in 1 year under Tom Hafey, and it was Twiggy's mark and goal that got him there. What about Phil Manassa's run down the smokers stand wing at the MCG?
He's going to put it through. By golly,
On the full, I'm tipping.
He missed it today.
What about the bounce? He's bouncing like a basketball. Well, fabulous Phil, but that was a terrific run. And let's relive it. Magnificent stuff, the pick up, the balance. And look at the speed of what Manassa had way back in 77. Tucks the ball under his arm. Look at that for a balk, sells the dummy. He's actually running towards the boundary line, narrowing the angle to the goal line. But that is just a terrific finish. He was a magnificent contributor for Collingwood, especially way back in 77. Have a look at the face of Barrassi also.
What a highlight it was. But that was the replay, and they lost the game. But terrific individual highlight for Phil Manassa. And I suppose if Barry Harrison's ever mentioned, and if Phil Manassa's ever mentioned, it's Hooker Harrison with Barrassi and Manassa's famous run, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that. Would have been Des Tuddenham, of course, and how tough was he? He certainly installed a lot of fear into the opposition players, but it's great to see so many players. Frankie Tuck, of course, what a terrific competitor he was. And there's no doubt about a lot of the players. I think it is Terry Waters. It is Terry Waters. I said it was Frank Tuck. Terry Waters, he was a terrific player for Collingwood for a long period of time also, but I was actually invited to be a part of this reenactment. It would have been terrific to take the 7 bounces and be a part of it, Drew, but unfortunately, due to commitments with 7, it's unfortunate. I wasn't out there, but work comes first.
That's right, you've got to work for who pays you. Anyway,
Exactly right.
You couldn't have bounced the seat on that wet ground today. Now, what are we going for? It's Dennis Banks's big mark, and he needs a ladder to get there, does he?
Yeah, well, that was the mark he took, of course, against the Western Bulldogs. Banksy plays on. Looks like he can still play today. A little bit short and kicking, but it looks like it's gone straight through the middle. Banksy will go straight to the bar. Don't worry about that and tell everybody how good it was. But there's that mark. That is a terrific mark against Peter Foster in the background. Yeah. Magnificent. There's Banksy there coming from the ground. He looks fit in the face. Obviously, he's had a few beers in his time since he retired, the old DB, but what a terrific player he was. He played under a lot of adversity too, Drew. He's had bad leg problems. He had terrific courage. And there's no doubt David Rhys-Jones should be out there also. And you pretend it's Rhys-Jones. There he is.
Oh, Banksy and Rhys-Jones, wasn't this an absolute sensation? I'm tipping that Rhys is going to lose his noggin here.
Yeah, of course, that game was the MCG. Watch the right cross. Bang! Cop that! That's one thing Banksy could do. He wants to go back for seconds. Now he thinks it's Robbie Muir.
And Ian Robertson, the umpire.
Wrong. Out comes the mouth guard. That should surely come out, but DB, what a terrific competitor he was for Collingwood. Magnificent bloke. And here's this reality of what actually happened this day. Oh, cop that. Poor Rhys. He didn't know what day it was. Sauce didn't know what to do. Whether to lead with his chin. There's Mullane, of course. A lot of the Carlton players. Kenny Hunter charges in. Wayne Blackwell. But no doubt, Rhys-Jones actually stipulates today. That was a square up. He got Banksy earlier on in his career. He just knew at some stage, Dennis Banks, right time, right place, would square up, and he had to wait for that day. And what about this bloke?
Unfortunately for Banksy, all the cameras were on him when he did it. Now, here's Daicos, and still looks magnificent. Peter Daicos, the number 35. Yeah. Might be one of the most popular duffel coats here, 35 on the back.
There's no doubt about that. I had the privilege of course, being number 34, and for 10 or 11 years we sat next to each other. We talked about the game at hand, how we played last week. But have a look at the balance, Daicos. Running it a little bit slower than the... But look at the pickup. Hadn't lost that. Gets onto his right foot, and he still hasn't lost his touch. Daicos comes back, kicks a goal for the Pies, but he's exhausted already.
Oh, well done, Daicos. Still kicking those miracle goals from the pocket. Banksy's down there with Craig Hutchison.
Yes, thanks, Drew. And Dennis Banks, we just saw two magnificent reenactments. You got right into the spirit of it. First of all, the mark here at centre-half forward, and then going through David Rhys-Jones.
Yeah, look, Briggsback's fantastic, man. He's actually kicked the goal. Never kicked the goal, really. I've kicked a lot of points, but no, look, it's been a fantastic day, and a lot of the past players have turned up today, and it's a fitting day to catch up with all the guys that I played with, and the guys that were legends when I was a kid.
You were determined to run to the Sharon stand one last time and give it the pump of the fist towards the crowd. You really got pumped up out there. Did you miss the adrenaline that Victoria Park could create?
Yeah, we're all saying that. Look, standing there to come out and run out, and even though we've lost it, the body's not winning. The mind is. Yeah, we're all pumped in the race, waiting to come out. But no, look, it's terrific. It is a fantastic day.
Thanks for your time, Banksy. Well done on the reenactments.
Thanks, Hutch.
That's thorough merit.
Yeah, this is Collingwood's dream team, and Thorold going for the dropping out of the middle.
Louis
That's
Richards.
Louis.
He hasn't moved from the half-forward flag. Kick it to me. Stop play situation. Who's the overlapping runner? Gets it over to Daicos. Daicos, beautiful skills as usual. wasn't sure who that was. Might have been Errol, actually, and here's McKenna. Learned the lead, might have been Pricey, actually, who kicked that footy to him. And McKenna has not lost it. 25 metres out and drills it straight through.
And Pete will be joining us in the commentary later on this afternoon when the Pies take on Brisbane. Oh, fantastic. Look, isn't it great to see these players out here? I hope all you Collingwood fans around the country are enjoying this here today, because we certainly are. We're coming to you from the boardroom at Victoria Park on the day this famous ground closes for home and away football after 107 years. Peter McKenna's not quite 107. We'll be back soon.
It up, heads in towards the pocket. Over the head of Thompson it goes. Daicos, this is where he's at his best. The Master.
Daicos in the grand final in 1990, that famous premiership day, but he just did it so often, you knew it wasn't a fluke.
Well, Drew, you talk about memories of Victoria Park, and I can relate a game that stands in my mind. It was against Geelong here about 4 or 5 years, oh, no, actually be longer than that, 7 or 8 years ago. And Gary Ablett was one end, he kicked 7 goals. Daicos the other end, he kicked 8.
Yeah.
It was a shootout between two champions, both different in terms of ability. Ablett was the marking player, Daicos was the ground level skillful player. But at the end of the day, I walked off that ground and said, gee whiz, I've seen 2 champions.
Absolutely sensational. Do you want to meet him? Here he is with Hutchie.
Well, Drew, here we are with Peter Daicos, the Macedonian marvel. You're pretty pumped up to come out in the 35 again. You didn't kick the goal, though. What happened?
Oh, Hutchie, I don't know. Lack of practice. Been about 6 or 7 years now, but I'll tell you one thing. I did 2 little reenactments. I was looking for the bench, so... But it's great to be out here. Look, it's all about being a part of it, and it's great.
Emotional time for all the former legends, I suppose. You ran across there with Dennis Banks before to the Sherrin stand, pumped the arms, you had the great reception. Do you miss that rush of adrenaline that Victoria Park could give you?
I think over the years you tend to, probably as the years wear on, you forget it a little bit, but this has certainly rekindled it and gives you an idea of what it was like. And it's sort of sad, but let's face it, I think as time goes on, I mean, things change, and I think football is just a part of that. But it's just great to, I suppose, relive it for one more time.
You're one of the legends here. You'll always be the favourite of Victoria Park. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Hutchie.
Peter Daicos.
Well done, Daicos. You are a legend. And look at all the names around the stand. You can just see behind him then the Toomey brothers. They're all there. Tuddy's there, Tomo, Bob Rose, the Richards boys. Sensational. Absolutely great to be here on the last day of Victoria Park as an AFL venue.